We measure years with calendars, but we remember them in moments. A headline that stopped us mid-scroll, conversation that changed just how we saw something familiar, a story we didn't believe at first and then couldn't stop thinking about. This year didn't ask for permission. It arrived loud in some places, quiet in others, and confusing almost everywhere else. It gave us breakthroughs wrapped in uncertainty, progress shadowed by backlash, and enough contradictions to keep even the experts arguing. We were told what mattered, what didn't, what was settled science, and what was suddenly up for debate again. Drones over New Jersey, the election of Donald Trump, prophecies, mind control, remote viewing. We covered a lot of different topics that shaped us in a way that made us look at things a little differently. So today, we're stepping back, not to relieve every moment, but to examine the ones that shaped our year beneath the surface. The events that change how we think about power, technology, faith, money, health, and trust. So today we reflect, doing our best to sort the signal from the static, what we learned, what we missed, and what this year quietly revealed about where we're headed next.
Welcome to the Retrospect podcast, a show where people come together from different walks of life and discuss a topic from their generation's perspective. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Jason.
Hello, everyone.
And Stoney.
Hello. How are y'all doing?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
Breaking news.
Uh-oh.
Breaking news here on the Retrospect podcast.
I'm always
Right off
interested
the
to hear
top.
about this.
A new dangerous virus variant has been identified, BS24-7. The transmission of BS24-7 occurs mostly through news broadcasting. The virus settles between the ears and impairs rational thinking. Symptoms may include hypervigilant cleansing, distrust of friends and neighbors, and an overwhelming urge to give up basic human rights in exchange for the perception of safety. Actually, individuals with larger vacuums between the ears and libtards are higher at risk.
Uh-oh.
Please stay safe.
Scary. I wonder if there's going to be a vaccine for that one.
Probably already have it.
Well, first episode of the new year.
Yes.
Here we go.
Yeah, well,
You
you
got
know,
to start it off right.
Oh, I know.
it's that time that we reflect
Yeah.
a little bit over
And look forward.
Yeah,
Yes.
of course,
Yeah.
absolutely, and see what the it'd be very interesting what 2026 brings. I know my life will be different.
I think it's gonna be a good year.
2026. It's going to be a great
I think it's
year.
going to be a great year.
Wow, you got some changes going on?
I got a little bit,
Just a little one.
just a little bit happening, and believe me, and never saw that coming, but it's
Here we
here.
are.
So it'll be here, and
Can you imagine? Only a few months. Only a couple months, actually. I think.
yeah, I think what Tracy reminds me all the time. I think
Okay.
she said 7 weeks, Jason.
7
Because
weeks.
your life is going to
Okay,
change.
that's
That's
okay.
why
7
she's
weeks.
reminding you.
Well, it's almost like she's excited or something.
Because
isn't it?
once you sign that piece of paper, it's on.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's all fun and games till you sign the paper.
I think he's ready.
Yeah, well, at this point in my life, it's like, you find somebody that can help you get
Yeah.
older as and help you get through life, and
Right.
so it's going to be exciting and
Well,
fun, and
I
we're gonna have a good time.
haven't heard the conclusion of the gumbo this year. Did it turn out okay?
Oh yes, it was overall
Okay.
it was a hit.
Of course.
Most people eat it up. I had a couple people that are very sensitive,
Okay.
stomach wise. That the little seasoning was a little too much,
Oh, hey.
and I thought we had kind of held back on the
We
seasoning.
didn't put really anything in it.
Hey.
But
So,
that's
you can't
when
please everybody.
Yeah,
That's
when
okay.
you're cooking for a mixed group that have those sensitivities.
Yeah.
It's just kind of hard to, what do? You make it, where no one really likes it, or
You're right.
you do it where
You try and get as
most
many
people
people,
like it, and just you guys kind of have to deal with, the other part. So,
That's okay.
but yeah, It was good.
It's hard cooking for that many people.
Hey, it
It's
always
hard
is.
cooking for that many people. So we know what we're going to do. If we're asked to do it next time, do they let us know we're going to do it next year?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. No news is good news. So if you didn't hear anything
No, this is
The Jason and Stony gumbo.
This is locked in for because and it frees anybody up from cooking.
Maybe by next year we'll be doing video, and what
There
we
we
can
go.
do is we can video it,
Right.
and
Yeah.
throw.
Exactly.
Maybe that could be an episode.
the retrospect cooking show.
Yeah, the Jason and Stony gumbo, yearly gumbo, Christmas
Yes.
gumbo.
I
And
want to get you guys matching aprons and chef hats.
I already have it.
Oh, there you go.
Already
I
have
love
it.
it.
It's going to be fun.
You're one step ahead of me. So that's cool.
We need to put the retrospect podcast on it. I think that would be fun.
That would be
fun.
awesome.
How cool. Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear. I was anticipating hearing back from it.
Yeah.
Well, I've already made them since my memory is shit. I've already printed out a copy of what we did,
Nice.
and then I've made the adjustments
Right.
on what we need to do next year.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sounds good to me.
So
Yeah,
good.
we'll. I have a lot frozen.
Really?
So, yeah,
really,
yeah.
that we had to split it in two pots too,
Oh, okay.
because it kept
Oh,
getting
yeah.
bigger and bigger
Oh, hey.
and bigger.
Yeah, I've got some frozen. I mean, it's not a ton, but it's it's a shame that it's now this week. It's getting
yeah,
cold.
it's not-
This is when you need to be eating gumbo,
Yeah.
not last week when it was 75
80,
degrees, 80 degrees outside. But but yeah, so I have some frozen. So if I want some this week, which I
Hey.
probably will take some out and have some.
That's
so
I forgot to get some.
Oh.
yeah, well, I can pull some
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
I remember we were talking about I was going to pull some out and eat it, but I forgot to get some.
That's okay.
You
You guys
know.
do anything good for Christmas? You have anything around in this neck of the woods? We had the flu ransacked us. So
Really?
Yeah. It was.
They said the flu is going around
was.
in Louisiana. It's supposed
Yes.
to be a high rate.
Yeah, it only happened for a couple days over the course of like the week or so, and it tore through. It was one of those situations where it was like people at the church I attend were getting hit with it. I had some friends. Maya got pretty badly hit. So
Really?
yeah.
Did anybody get vaccinated? Did you get flu shots?
I
They don't need a
not
flu
not
shot.
beforehand.
I'm just
but-
curious.
No.
I mean,
I brought her to like a little like stat care sort of situation, and I think that they were anticipating it. So like she told them some symptoms. They walked in with a little cotton swab.
Oh, yeah,
just gently
because
rubbed her
it's-
nose, and they were like, "Yep, flu A."
it's growing.
Yeah.
It's quite extensive through the state right now.
They didn't give her any kind of vaccine, but they gave her like some medicine to treat symptoms and stuff, and was like, rest, drink fluids, same sort of stuff. So, but
Yeah.
anyways, but
I mean, that's
so
all you can do.
So it kind of like postponed our Christmas plans with certain people because we didn't want to get everyone
Yeah,
sick.
you don't want to do all that.
So we had a little close knit Christmas day.
So
sort of thing.
you didn't get sick. I think you were saying
I
last
did. It
time
was
you
last
were
weekend.
feeling kind of bad. So
Yeah.
maybe that
I think I was on the tail end of it. So
yeah,
I
you
think,
probably came down with a variant that
Right.
you just handled it.
right.
So you gave it to.
I did.
Maya.
I think that's what happened. I think she was like,
How
she
what
was pretty
kind of
sick.
fever was she running?
I know. I think it was low hundreds. I think whenever she had a fever, but it only lasted for like a day or so.
Okay, well that's
yeah.
good. I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that.
Yeah, I think the worst part of it was like a cough and some other stuff. Anyways, regardless,
I
around
mean, a
here-
full blown flu.
Oh yeah,
I mean, a full blown flu will knock you down for at least a week.
yeah.
I mean,
Again, I've heard people in my circle, kind of like firsthand accounts of people being like, "I've been out for a whole week and
Yeah,
a week
yeah.
and a half."
I mean,
or
that's
I
whatever.
think the only thing worse than getting the flu is getting the flu, having a summer flu.
Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
Catching
no.
it somehow in the summer, which
Yikes.
happens.
Yeah, yeah.
Happens a lot more than people think. I think that's the only thing worse.
Yes.
Because now you're hot and miserable.
Oh, I
Yeah.
hate
At
that.
least during the wintertime, you can throw 10 blankets on and,
yeah. Crack a window if you
do something.
yeah.
But a summer flu? Oh,
That sounds just the thought of it sounds bad.
yeah, it's
But,
yeah, but I had gotten a shot back in the earlier part of the month.
Yeah.
It's kind of late to get it because normally you're supposed to get flu shots usually around in October.
Okay.
when they
just-
expect.
For me, I don't see the benefit in a flu shot because there's 2,500 variants of the flu. When you get a flu shot, you're only going to get one for 3 to 5 of those variants, and magically you're just going to get the right one.
Well,
I just don't see the benefit.
I think it's not so much that it's going to protect you from the flu. I think the point of the shot is to mitigate symptoms if you do come with the flu.
But see, they say that, and that's not what it's supposed to do. That's not part of it. But that's what the COVID vaccine was going to do. It's going to knock it down and mitigate the symptoms. No, it didn't do that. That's not what it does. And so if you don't get the right variant, it's not even going to help in those symptoms.
Well, no, I mean, there's nothing 100%. There's no vaccine or anything that's 100% protects you. I think it as I said, I do it because of my age, and if I do come down with it, then hopefully I don't get as bad a case as if I would otherwise. So I get it. I mean, whatever people want to do, they can do what they want. I mean, I've taken flu vaccines for years. Yeah. And so it's
well, now that the Christmas season is over with, I feel confident to say this without the potential of any kind of leaking of the surprise. But I had saved up a lot of money over the past few months, saving up for Maya's Christmas present. And she's been really wanting one of those iPad minis, like the little notebook one.
Right.
And so I got her the purple one with the folio case that it comes with and the new pencil. She had like a really old iPad a few generations back. She's an artist, and she loves to sketch on the iPad or on the go a lot of times, either in like a sketchbook and things like that, or on that old iPad. And that was the one thing. Again, I had like a price budget range that I was giving for like my brothers, my mom, and Maya's mom, and all that stuff. But for her, I like I had said in the previous episode, I kind of broke the budget for her a little bit on purpose. But I got that new iPad, and she, over the course of the past few days, has been sketching up a storm and been doodling in all her stuff. And there's a lot of cool functions with the new pencil where you can do certain gestures and you can write certain things, and it will type. Anyways, she's been having so much fun with it, and it's giving me a lot of joy to see how happy it makes her. So.
There you go.
And then, of course, my brother collects whiskey. I got him a nice whiskey that he's been really enjoying. So, anyways, it was a really good Christmas all around. And there's still some presents that I need to give to certain people when all the symptoms die down. But that's what's been going on around here. So,
well,
yeah,
guys, what y'all think? 2025 is almost in the books.
I started looking back at our episodes, and we had a wide gradient of topics that we touched on a lot of stuff.
It was fun kind of going back and looking at some of those episodes and just that was pretty interesting.
Some of them I look back and I was like, I can't believe we did that this year.
Yeah.
It feels like it's been...
I mean, I think about, for example, I talked about in the intro, the drones over New Jersey. Remember the big talk of all these supposed lights? New Jersey, and no one knew what the world they were, and
that was the first episode of Lights.
And all of a sudden, the story just died.
Yep.
I don't know if they're still going on or not.
I don't know.
Maybe they're just not talking about them anymore. Or,
I don't know.
Sort of like the Epstein files.
Yeah.
Nothing to see there, guys.
Well, have you seen the Epstein files? It's all just black pages. Everything's redacted.
Yeah, everything's redacted.
Did y'all see that Hillary Clinton was asked in an interview how she compared the Epstein files to the Monica Lewinsky scandal?
Oh.
And she responded, close, but no cigar.
Okay.
Stony.
Okay.
Stony.
Okay.
Good old Monica Lewinsky. How can I ever forget about that? I remember when all that broke out at the time. Bill.
I was too young when that happened.
Oh,
I say too young.
I remember it. Stoney remembers it quite well.
Yeah.
I did not have sex with that woman.
Yes, that was a huge deal. I mean, it was just
the dress. Why would everybody's like, why would she save the dress?
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. But the thing is he's threatened to name his ballroom the Monica Lewinsky Ballroom.
Mm-mm.
And really? I think that, yes.
Okay, what a...
Yeah.
You're playing with fire there, my man.
I think it's funny as shit, to be honest with you.
I think so, but yeah, anyways. Yeah, and then, of course, we started off with, I feel like in the first month of January, there was, so many there was a lot of things that went on.
Yeah.
Like a lot of like scary stuff right off the bat, because there was also like the attacks in New Orleans.
Yeah, the
and in
terrorist
Las Vegas,
attack. Yes.
with the whole car being set on fire and all that stuff in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that whole and all the stories were going, or just the internet was wild with the amount of stories
Of course.
surrounding the car and the
Yeah.
note left in the car
Yeah.
and all that. Gee, what a
And then
what
also
a cluster.
California, all of California
The
was on
wildfire,
fire.
yeah,
at
the
beginning of-
Palisades.
which is crazy.
Matter of fact, I was listening to a deal today regarding the disaster in California right now,
Right.
just the amount of what they want to do for the billionaires, how much money on tax they want to, and it's just an absolute. I had no idea. This is something I learned. I had no idea that Hollywood did not start there.
No, it didn't.
It started in New Jersey.
Uh huh.
I did not know that. That's something I learned today. And what happened was it had gotten, from my understanding, is why they ended up leaving New Jersey to go to Hollywood was because at the time Thomas Edison was basically controlling what sort of movies they can make.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that was so what happens, another state sweetened the pot and said,
Yeah.
hey, come all the way out to California, which is, at that point, I mean, that's the wild frontier.
Yeah.
That
Come
was
out.
it. It was cheaper then. Everything was going to be cheaper. The labor was cheaper.
Yeah.
Everything.
That's how it's so funny how history works out. Can you imagine if it would have never,
Oh yeah.
how the California would have evolved differently
Yeah.
if Hollywood never showed up there?
When I was getting into acting in like the 2000 teens, give or take, they had a big push towards like tax exemption stuff in New Orleans, and there was a pretty good chunk of years where New Orleans was Hollywood South, is what they called it,
Yes.
because of like all the tax breaks and all the TV shows that were being made down there, and
Georgia copied.
yeah,
Georgia
and now-
copied our deal.
Yes.
The,
and they're doing a better job than we are, because now we're no longer. There's
No.
nothing around here now.
no, it's not. It's unfortunately that was during the Jindal years. They
Yes.
basically axed all those credits, and I mean,
well, just in Hollywood, the jobs have dropped from 142,000 to less than 100,000 jobs, and the entertainment engine, so to speak.
Yeah.
The restaurants are closing. Tourism has plunged 50% in Los Angeles.
Really?
Yes,
That's big.
that's huge if you
Yes.
think about it. So while everything's going up and strikes and the streaming economy has
Yeah.
taken over, and now you've got the gasoline.
yep.
December 31st, Phillips 66 out of Los Angeles, completely closing their refinery.
Oh wow.
Valero, March.
You mentioned that, in last episode, I think.
completely done. Valero is saying we're going to lose, just by closing it, we're going to lose $1.4 billion. And we're willing to eat that to get out of California.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah,
Now, I
because
heard they're going to start, they're going to start 14 more factories. Guess who else is leaving California completely? Not only the headquarters and taking it to Austin, Texas, but even the brick and mortar,
What's that?
In-N-Out Burger.
Really?
Yes, leaving California.
That's big as well.
What statement is that?
That's
Because
big.
In-N-Out Burger was California at one
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a
She's done.
shame.
The CEO, she said, "We're done. I'm out. I'm pulling it. Done."
Wow.
I mean, there comes to a point that just, to pay for, I hate to say it, but, California is becoming basically a socialistic state, and to pay
Right.
for all these things,
but
they
the-
got
the-
to tax. To get
yeah.
The
the
horrible
money.
thing about that is it's predominantly a conservative state.
Yeah,
But
in the
it's-
interior, it is.
If you look at Los Angeles and San Francisco, where a lot of the people kind of live,
Yeah.
is where they're making these rules.
Right.
And everybody's paying for it. So think about this, though. Who else does that affect? The gas prices, Arizona and Nevada get their gas from California. So with all of these gas prices going to go up, they're estimating between $10 and $14 gasoline by the end of next year, by the end of 2026.
That's crazy.
That's going to affect Arizona and Nevada. They didn't vote on these things. They didn't vote on any of this libtard stuff, but now they're going to be paying for it.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
that's how it always works.
And that something
I think you've said that. I'm all about sharing it, faring, but how are you going to pay for it?
Unfortunately, when Reagan granted amnesty to all those illegals that were in California back in the 70s that showed up, unfortunately, that state changed politically to what pretty much they've become now. Because that was a pretty conservative, state for many. I mean, look, I believe Dwight Eisenhower is from California, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, we have a gaming friend who's from there.
Yeah.
And he said, we're conservative here, but there's a few cities that
just
dominate.
They dominate the state's politics, and that's
course.
the problem, because that's where all the population is, and so you have this argument: people versus land.
Well, it's concentrated population.
Right.
There's more population outside, but the way they voted it and what Gavin Newsom is trying to do and restructure things to gain 5 more votes is they've completely taken away the conservative vote.
That's right. Since you have no voice whatsoever.
And so if you saw this the other day, the Supreme Court voted that you can no longer have districts based on race.
So basically, that was the Louisiana case.
Yeah.
The Louisiana case was actually going to, and I'm glad, because the truth of the matter is it is you can't. It's like that crazy district they drew in this state. This idea that somehow you've got to have. I mean, if you really want to be honest, if you really are going to try to deal with this issue on a racial basis, if that's the case, the black population in the United States, I believe the latest number is like 13%. So in all reality,
they should only have 13% of the vote
of the pie.
Yeah.
Really, if you want to do that, to be logical and to be fair, 12% here, the Hispanic population, they have this percent, the Asian they have that percent, and just do it that way if that's, you're so fixated on this.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. This is just nuts how they've done. And I'm glad that finally the Supreme Court said, we're done with this kind of stuff.
Well,
this
they've had
crazy.
a number of rulings over this last year that are really limiting the regulatory power of a lot of these alphabets and things like that. The agencies, and redefining executive authority.
Right.
Yeah, we are. It's
as divisive as this Supreme Court is. They've come together on a number of things and said, even like suppressors, for weapons, they came through and said, ATF, you got nothing. Shut up. The suppressor is part of a weapon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow.
To me, that just needs to be undone. Congress, they need, and of course, it'll never get done. Congress can't really do anything. They really can't. But that suppressors need to be removed from that 1934 act that actually put them as a regulated item. I mean, I understand at the time what was going on with that. It's just like Tommy guns and all these things. But in all reality, in today's world, to be a suppressor, you should go to a store and be able to buy it like anything else.
Yeah,
right.
You can now.
It's not like
still have to do the background check.
Unfortunately, well, I mean, to me, the background check should be anything more than just with a firearm.
Oh yeah.
If I pass a background, why do I need a separate background check for a suppressor? I mean, to me, it's stupid. But a lot of things that government does is stupid. Right. So,
we also, not to change the subject too hard, but again, I was looking at the very end of January. We talked about the inauguration of Donald Trump, and it's crazy that I forgot about this, but he got voted in and sworn in, around this time last year. And it's crazy to think that it's been 1 year, because it feels like it's been so much longer. And there's also been a lot of stuff that he's done in this past year, good, bad, or otherwise. But I can't believe it's been 1 year already. And a lot of stuff happened, and we talked about it, I think, throughout this year. A lot of the stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it was a miracle that Donald Trump came back the way he did, because, I mean, he was pretty much, after the election of Joe Biden, I mean, he really thought he was done. I mean, he was buried in lawsuits and this and that and everything else, and it just goes to show you that how just a couple years, how things can change.
Yeah.
And I same thing here. I tell people all the time. I mean, Republicans won a big sweeping in 2024, but you can't sit on your laurels, because all that does is mobilize the other side, and it gets them all riled up. And right now they're projecting Democrats to take back the House, which you know what all that's going to mean. You're going to start the impeachment stuff over and over, and that's all you're going to hear. And it's like, that's why nothing ever gets fixed.
Yep.
It just never gets fixed.
Too much infighting.
That's
crazy.
And this is what I'm saying. I mean, we all heard about what happened with this breaking story that coming out of Minnesota now with the fraud and everything, and it just shows you where our politicians are. This is what Tim Walz had to say about it when pressed upon, what's your comment on what this guy has uncovered?
Yeah.
He says, this is what happens when they scapegoat, and this is what happens when they no longer hide the idea of white supremacy. That's his comment.
Wow.
Doesn't about $3 billion or whatever in waste, and God knows terrorist organizations that got money from all this that actually went out there and probably murdered people.
Right.
But we're worried about stupid stuff. I mean, that's just...
And he's mad because when he said boys need tampons, and Donald Trump called him a retard, and that's what he's mad about. Hello, boys need tampons? Are you kidding me? And you wonder why...
Yeah, what the heck?
What is it? How does this guy even look himself in the mirror and shave every day, thinking he's doing a good job for the American people?
Right.
$9 billion so far. I can't wait to see how much money they find out over the next 4 or 5 more months.
Yeah, well, stay tuned, because I think next all this and more next week, hopefully, we'll be.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot we're going to talk about next week on this very topic, because we. It has to be.
What else may be uncovered in that time, in just one more week of investigations? Who knows? But yeah, it's been.
I'm going to tell you another thing to be keeping an eye on right now is the uprising in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
I think the people over there have about had enough
massively in the streets
of the Islamic leadership in that country that has absolutely ruined that country. In the 70s, if you look at pictures of what that country looked like
under the Shah of Iran,
was a absolutely beautiful country. It had wealth. It had people were happy. Women were able to walk around like normal Western women.
Yeah,
and it's just absolutely, they've turned that thing into. And I think finally, the younger people, are about, they've had enough. They're tired of the Hezbollah and all these groups and all this mess, because everybody at the end of the day wants prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be able to go shopping. They want to be able to go skiing or whatever the case, like everybody else in a Western developed country can do. They want that. The problem is these governments suppress this sort of natural wants, for lack of a better term, how life should be.
Yeah.
But
I think it's interesting you said the young people. It's young and old people in Iran doing this, but it's kind of got started because of the young people. And we found out in the last election how many young people voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And one of the things that 2025 I'll remember mostly is the quiet reemergence of faith among young people.
Yep.
And going not to these mega churches, okay, because I'm totally against mega churches. And I'd like to do an episode on that one day if we ever, can do that.
Yeah.
But it's more of the small groups, tradition, liturgy, and just questions of meaning. Young kids today are again starting to question the meaning of life, the real meaning of life. Not, I want to be a TikTok star.
Yep.
More, why am I here? Why am I really here? Because we've gotten so far away from why are we here? And that, I think 2025, and I hate to say that, it started before the Charlie Kirk incident, but it kind of amplified with the murder and passing of Charlie Kirk, because a lot of people just kind of went, wow.
Yeah.
Well,
crazy.
And 2025, I'll remember the faith coming back, because we're men of faith.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that over the episodes, over the last 4 years, but 2025 people are looking again, and they're not looking at the mega church. They're looking at real faith, real questions about.
Right.
Well, there's definitely a Gen Z. It's definitely a conservative bent.
Yeah.
Especially with young men.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but the increased, I think a lot of young men are feeling very much stigmatized in this modern world. Here's a Gen Xer that saw the rise of this, and I will say this: it may offend some people, it may not.
And if it does, our email is getoffendedtogether.
I have said all along, and it's permeated all of our institutions. We have become over feminized in this country. I
have a running theory.
We have.
I have a running theory, and because I've been in the church world, I've done some work.
And it's full of it there.
No. What I'm saying is I've done a lot of work with different denominations. The kind of work that I do, I've helped out a lot in the kind of live music space and that kind of stuff. And I have noticed a trend that if your congregation has a pretty significant number of young worshiping men, I think your ministry is going to do a lot of is going to grow a lot.
It will.
I think this is one of those things that it draws in a lot of other people, a lot of other families, but there's been, for some reason, there's always been.
You're going to see what I coined the term, a muscular Christianity needs to come back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At one time in our society, that was the norm.
Yeah.
It somehow started to change in the late 70s into the 80s, and really started taking root into the 90s.
Yeah.
Well, it started in Hollywood.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, I'm going to get on a tangent here. Again, the attack on the American family.
Yeah.
But it's demonic. And we'll talk all day long about toxic masculinity, of which toxic masculinity is actually the absence of masculinity, because nobody wants to talk about the elephant in the room. Elephant in the room? Anybody got to throw that out there?
Yeah.
Which is the devil's great lie, which is toxic feminism.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't want to talk about that, but we'll scream and holler all day long because you want your man to be effeminate, and you want him to be sweet, and you want him to go shopping with you, and you want him to worry about all this other stuff until there's an enemy at the door.
Right.
And then you want him to go back to being who he was. And you're surprised when there ain't no men like that anymore.
Yep.
Because now they've been convinced, I don't need to be that guy. Okay, a guy who has a beard and a man bun who can't change a tire, it should be required by law to shave that damn beard off. Okay, because you're not a man.
Right.
If you can't do manly things, and I've learned this so hard being a stepfather now for 5 years, that if you are a man in a family, especially with children, If you aren't prepared to be an asshole sometimes, you don't belong in that role.
Yeah.
Because the woman, when it's not toxic feminism, is the nurturer, is the creator, is the thing that takes something and makes it better. But the man has to protect. The man has to deal with the bad things so that the wife can do what she needs to do in the house.
Yep.
And when we don't talk about the toxic feminism, because all we want to do is say toxic masculinity, there's a problem.
Yeah.
But it starts in Hollywood, and now all the TV shows have sweet men. And if you watch a television show, the men are stupid.
Yeah.
The men say things. They do stupid things. And now all of a sudden, and look, I'm all for a strong woman. I married a strong woman.
Right.
Okay, I'm married. You know, of course, I realized that I'm actually smarter than my wife.
Oh.
And that's because I married her and she married me. So that just kind of proves I'm smarter than her.
Okay.
But you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. But it's the team and the place.
Yeah.
And people we've got, and I think the young kids today are looking back at that.
Yeah.
And they're looking back at, and there's a country song, Grandpa, tell me about the good old days when people stayed and fell in love together.
Yeah.
And I think kids are starting to look at that. They're getting tired of the changing the job every 2 years. They're getting tired of new relationships every year. What's going to last?
Yep.
Yeah.
What's going to last? And I think kids are going, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And it's amazing to watch these young kids today. And
well, the divide is and the statistics are pretty clear on this. Who is becoming more conservative are young white men.
Yeah.
That's where the numbers are, because there is an increasing divide between young women and young men and their political leanings. Young women have become increasingly more hardline liberal in their, and unfortunately our society has produced this.
Yeah.
It just you have a crisis, and there's a lot of good resources on right now on people talking about what is going on with men in this country. I'm going to tell you, I was watching a TV show last night, and I looked at it and I went, this is what's wrong with everything in the world now. You've taken something and it's just made it into an absolute sham. I mean, it's the subtle messaging of what they're sending is clear as day.
Right.
Men are incompetent. They're stupid.
I think
They
I just
can't-
said that a few minutes ago.
They can't do anything. And to me, I will never, ever get out of my mind is watching all these little women beat up all these men. And I'm sitting there going, what world, what universe do you live in?
Yeah.
The reality is, if things went to hell in a handbasket,
You're going to want the masculine.
you're
man.
gonna want, and I'm gonna tell you, society produces those kind of men when society needs those kind of men.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We talked about it,
What
yeah.
is Stoney saying? Hard times create strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. We are in the weak man era. Hey, Jason, I got something for you here.
Yep.
It's an English lesson,
Yep.
and you're getting married soon.
Yep.
And I'd like you to participate in this, and Ian, please feel free to. Tsunami.
Okay.
What's silent?
The T.
Tsunami, the T.
The T is silent. Okay, great. Honest. What's silent? The H. Psychology. What's
P.
silent?
P.
The P, right? Knife. What is silent?
The K.
The K. Okay, great. Wife. The husband is silent.
Okay.
Get ready, Buckaroo. It's coming. It's coming.
Look, this is my, and we've had these discussions, and I don't make any, but I don't apologize for how I feel.
Yeah.
I will always say, if you're true, then the man should be the spiritual head of their household.
Right.
The problem we have in today's world is you have a bunch of men who have abdicated this role.
Yeah.
And the role is by divine right belongs to the man. You've got to embrace it and do it.
Lead.
Yeah. And unfortunately, lead gets tied into dominate.
No,
and that's
yeah, no.
unfortunate where when we have those kind of discussions like today, or I should say this past weekend,
Yeah.
I know in church, the second reading was St. Paul's letter
Okay.
where it said
Yeah.
what? Wives, be submissive to your husbands. Husbands, love your wives.
Right.
That's the relationship.
Yeah.
Well,
That's the
I
way
have
it's supposed to be.
Yes and no, and I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on that because Paul was not writing a religion. Paul was not writing the Bible. Paul was addressing a single woman in a single church. He was writing a specific letter to a church in Corinth. Okay. And he was telling a certain woman, and this is where translations and interpretations come out. He was addressing one woman, and he said, "Be quiet, woman. You don't need to be acting like that in your church." So the church as a whole, mega church, all this other stuff, changed that, translated it, because if you go back to the original interpretation and look at the letter that he was writing, that's not what he meant. He was not telling women to be submissive. He was telling women that there is a role.
There is a role.
And it's not being submissive like, oh, what,
Well, just like we said,
not what it
Tony,
is.
That's I would I'm going to push back on that a little bit.
Back.
Yeah.
I think that there is definitely, if you can't tell me that in first century, second century, third century Christian families, who was the head of the household?
But I
Was
think,
the
Well,
father.
part of that was designed because women weren't allowed to do this. They weren't allowed to read. They weren't allowed to actually read the original parts of the Bible to know that they actually had a place.
There really was no Bible per se, but
You're proving my point.
The point I'm trying to make is the biblical role of marriage. We go back to Genesis, Adam and Eve. Adam is created. Eve is created to what? To be a helpmate to the man. The way a relationship supposed to work, and I think if at one time in our society, that's kind of how it worked.
Right.
And we seem to did just fine with it. It actually built what we have today. That worked. The problem is, as I said, women, be submissive to your husbands. More importantly, the second part, husbands, love your wives. So now it goes back, what does love mean?
just like if you can't.
Love means sacrifice.
Yeah.
I am willing to lay my life down for you.
Right.
That's what that means.
But I think it's just like we said before. If you can't see lead without thinking of obedience or of like dominance, I think there's the same sort of situation with like submit. I think you can take the English word and maybe think of it like he was saying, like a doting, like a not
Well,
like
no,
you can still be a strong woman and still.
Well, the question is that
respect your
once
husband.
again, I go, what does a strong woman mean?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. This is more of a modern
Yes.
concept. Our society was not built on that concept.
Right.
The structure of our society was built upon the old model of doing things. And I'm not saying to be cruel. That's what I'm saying. Husbands, love your wives.
Right.
That's the dynamic.
Yeah.
That's the tension
Of course.
that exists. The wife should want to submit to her husband because she knows her husband's got her back.
It's like a mutual respect.
It's a mutual respect.
Yeah.
My job, to me, I look at him, your job is, if you're raising a family,
right.
your job as the husband, I'm leading. Your job is to help me run this business, so to speak.
Right.
Because we want to make it work.
Right.
We want to produce good kids. We want to be able to, for them to be able to leave the nest and go do their own thing.
Of course.
and to be productive citizens.
One thing I thought was interesting that we did at the very beginning of this year, we had an episode at the end of March called Prophecy of the Popes.
Yep.
Where we talked about the prophecy of the popes, and this is another one of those retrospect crazy moments where we didn't mean to predict the future, but lo and behold, the middle part of May, we did an episode on Pope Leo because inadvertently, after we did the prophecy of the popes episode, the previous pope had passed away, and we were like, we didn't.
Pope Francis, and I remember the whole talk. They said this was going to be possibly the last pope because they run out of space in the St. Peter's Basilica of the popes, and what's going to happen after Leo passes.
Right.
I've been okay with him. I think he's done some good things.
Speaking of like the young people, I recently saw and read something that there is this organization that has like a very large number of, I think, Catholic teens, some sort of like organization or group or something, and they reached out to the Pope saying like, "Hey, could you give us like a 3 to 5 minute video of you just kind of like addressing them and just maybe some words of encouragement that you would say?" And apparently the Pope had got back to them and was like, "Can we just do like a live thing?"
Yeah.
And I'll come and talk.
Wow.
And not only did he come and talk with them, he spent 45 minutes with them over this live call addressing all these youth. And so speaking of like young people and the faith and that kind of stuff, to see like the head of the church take almost an hour of his time away to kind of talk to them, I was like, hey, that's really,
I don't even want to think of what the pressures that person who occupies that spot
the leader of that
is facing.
The leader of that organization was like, we thought that it was generous to ask like, hey, could you just give us 3 or 5 minutes of your time to just address them? And the fact that he came back and gave us a whole hour, he was like, we were honored to be given that. And I was like, that's really cool to hear. That I've heard a lot of good things about Pope Leo.
Yeah, I think he's going to be really good. He's not going to say everything because you're going to have the more conservative-oriented Catholics that are going to be critical if he doesn't come out and say certain things. You're going to have liberal-oriented Catholics who are going to be, angry.
It's like cooking a gumbo. Yeah, you never going to make anybody happy. Okay, somebody's going to be, and you know what? There's no person more judgmental than a Cajun finding out what you put in your gumbo. And it's kind of the same thing. I feel bad for him because it's like,
yeah, he's
you're gonna piss somebody off.
He's got a lot, because I'm gonna tell you what, I just saw Cardinal Dolan turned in his resignation because he reached the age of mandatory retirement.
Okay,
and the Pope appointed a new cardinal for New York.
Is there a set number of
He
cardinals?
was probably ready to get out of there with everything.
Well,
going on in New
some
York.
people are saying, he replaced him pretty quick, because there's a lot of guys that get to the age 75, which is the mandatory age for retirement, that basically say, he replaced him pretty fast. Now, I mean, of course, the American Catholic Church is facing huge issues right now, unfortunately, with the aftermath of the clerical abuse issue, the resulting the financial fallout from that, the closing of parishes, trying to sell off buildings, sell off property to pay for these multi-million-dollar lawsuits. Now I know here in Louisiana, Governor Landry signed a bill that, in essence, opened up that window, and that's kind of what's dealing with in the New Orleans Archdiocese. That he opened up the window for people who may have been or who were abused in some way to actually they've in essence did away with the statute of limitations.
Oh, okay.
So it means after as time goes on, there's a certain point in time where it's just you can't do anything more.
You had an opportunity.
Yeah, so what happened, he opened it for a brief moment to allow people way back who may to file to in essence say, maybe they had settled for X amount of dollars back then. Well, now what they're doing is suing again and getting additional money, and
Whoa.
it's caused all kind of issues. So there's a lot of challenges, unfortunately, brought on by a terrible mismanagement
Right.
of that whole problem, and they brought that on themselves in doing that. And unfortunately, it costs a lot of moral clarity and moral authority. And but be that as it may, I'm very encouraged by the number of young Gen Z men who seem to be really gravitating toward the Catholic Church, which I'm hoping that I'll be very curious to see as the years go by what that does.
Yeah.
Right now, I've even noticed that a lot of the younger priests that are coming out are very conservative. They're very conservative compared to the older ones. And, they kind of wanting to bring Latin back and the whole kit and caboodle. I mean, it's so, and I know that because there's a priest in an adjacent parish to where I go to church who's very much like that. And some people like it and some people don't.
Right.
And so it's be very interesting to see how, I see this shift in young men that in 2025, it's definitely a skew in that favor. But, it's concerning where men and women are in that age category when it comes to their political affiliations. And I don't know how this is going to get resolved because it's become a very hostile dynamic between men and women. And there's a lot of guys have just simply dropped out and have expressed no desire.
And getting married or really dating.
They've absolutely just dropped out of that deal, which then limits the pool of available men that these girls still claim to want.
Oh, yeah.
They want these kind of men, but, guys got to get off their butts and kind of get with it and kind of get back in the game and, be who you are and do those things.
I think with time it'll probably happen. It's gonna
it's
work
just,
it out a little bit.
The dynamics is just it's strange right now, but I don't know. I'm kind of run my mouth and
over the summer we had a little stint of a bunch of really fun, mind altering. And interesting projects we did. We had the Montauk Project. We had the Gateway Experience. We had DARPA.
Oh, that DARPA was good.
We had there was a whole bunch. There was a big stint right here in like the summertime where we hit a bunch of really fun, interesting. And also MK Ultra. I can't forget that was.
Oh yeah, those are those. Like there was like 2 or 3 of those episodes we did pretty much back to back.
Yeah.
That kind of went into some of that stuff that's been now released.
Yeah.
Now that the Freedom of Information Act and a lot of that got declassified, so a lot of people having access to.
Yeah.
That was interesting. I love researching those episodes. That was fun. I still think some of that research is what's powering. AI now,
of course.
I really
we also had some fun kind of behind the scenes stuff. We had a little play around with some sound effects and some different music.
Let's try something different.
Try some fun stuff, which I think that was we got some pretty good feedback on some of that.
We had our 200th episode.
I just want to say we had our 200th episode this year in August, which is really fun to see. That was also a lot of fun as well. Had some really cool guests this year as well, and as we had mentioned, obviously the situation with Charlie Kirk, which we talked about as well. And so
to me, his assassination is probably the biggest story because of the fallout of his death. And he was able to fill a void, a niche that I think he was very effective at really communicating a message that was wrapped up in his Christianity, and I admired him for that, to be able to go out there and get into those hostile places and talk about God and Jesus and the role of the traditional once again goes back to traditional family, mama, daddy, kids, kind of how it used to be at one time. I've always, we've talked about that, is what voices are going to fill the void now. And unfortunately, it has allowed now for room for people that are different and that are reaching a lot of young men today, which I get what some of these guys are saying. I understand their anger. I can get it. I can see there have been demonized since they've been 17, 16 years old, that, all white men are bad. And I get it. You see it on TV. You see it in the movie. You see it in the news. It is this constant attack. And unfortunately, as with these things happen, there's an equal and opposite reaction that occurs. And I think that's where you're seeing some of these guys are saying, we've had enough.
Well, even
we're pushing back.
If you look in Canada, for there's commercials for the MAID program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's no ethnic people in those commercials.
No.
It's only white men and a few white women that are in these commercials. And there was a movie, and I can't remember
is that the ones where they're encouraging people to kill themselves?
Yes, that's what the MAID program is.
Yeah.
Medically assisted, and I'm ready to do my turn. I'm going to blah blah blah, but it's only white men and a few white women in it. There's no ethnic people at all in those commercials.
That's
none,
and that's what's so aggravating.
But here's what's funny about it is in Canada, okay, there is a law that says X amount. I don't know what that number is. Percentage of people, of immigrants, and people of ethnic backgrounds must be. You must hire them in your country, in your company. Okay, so why don't they have to have that in that commercial?
Well, I think we all know.
I think we know why.
I'm
actually saying it.
But see, that's what I'm saying. It's this sort of attack of white men.
We have seen it and heard it in movies time and time again. But now it's happening in reality. Once you start to ostracize and make and blanket that everyone's an enemy, everyone's bad, you're bound to create a villain. And I think that's exactly who this person, I think I know who you're talking about, is that they have now, whether they like it or not, they have created
they've created these people.
They've created a person who is their figurehead, who is going to be their biggest enemy, because like you said, throughout his entire life he's been told he's the bad guy, and now he's living into it.
He goes, okay, you want me to be the bad guy? I'm going to be the bad guy.
And that's so that's what I'm saying. Is like now we're getting into that time of history now, where it's like it's all fun and games until someone starts to actually be the bad guy.
We had the episode on the machine predicting the end of the end of the world. Remember that one? And what in that 1973 experiment? They say the seeds of society's unraveling, you would begin to recognize it in the 2020s. If you can't see our society is unraveling right now, then I don't know what to tell you. But there's something seriously wrong with just life right now, and I don't know what the result is, but something is going to happen. Something's going to happen, and I'm afraid, because I've always said the right pushes back from the actions of the left. That's why they often call people on the right side of the reactionaries, because they're reacting to what they perceive as the boundaries being pushed, and they eventually said, we're pushing back. And oftentimes that pushback doesn't take a good form. It just doesn't. And that's the sad part about it. It doesn't have to be that way. But I don't see our culture changing anytime soon, just from what I put on television and watch. Because if I'm seeing that, it's like this is nothing compared to what, I mean, it's just, I just take my head and I turn the TV off at times. It's just like, I don't even want to watch this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
It's not even entertainment. You know, everything.
It's indoctrination.
Yeah.
It's just another form of indoctrination. I don't watch TV. The TV today, there's a show out there, Lucifer,
Yes.
that tries to pin Lucifer, Satan, as well. He's an okay guy. He's just, he's got some issues, but he's an okay guy. Bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is an indoctrination. They are trying to slow down, you know, and make you think, well, if he's an okay guy, you know, and I'm like, why would that even, can you imagine in the 40s, them trying to put a show about Satan out, or a radio show or something that paints him in an okay light?
Hell, even in the 80s, I would have found that would have been quite beyond the pale. I mean, look, I remember the whole, you know, with Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh,
remember that?
Oh, I
yeah,
do.
but it's devil worship, you know, and so that's what I'm saying. We've pushed the envelope now so far that there's nothing really left. So they got to keep pushing it even further to get a reaction. So I'm telling you, I mean, I was just shaking my head at watching some of these shows.
I can't watch TV anymore.
It's
does
gotten,
nothing for me.
I end up watching old stuff because it's like it's
like we mentioned. I watched Home Alone for the first time in probably a handful of years, and I was like, man, I forgot how lovely this film is. It has its moments where it's probably a bit cheeky, but like for the most part, it's got like a lot of religious references.
Wish Cheeky was back.
Well, right. Well, what I'm saying is like there's like moments in it that's like they probably have a little bit of language here and there. There's probably they have some jokes in there that are probably a bit crass. But like, you know, but for the most part, like there's some really great morals in it, and then there's also a lot of religious themes in it that I was like, I didn't realize how Christian the underlying of that movie is.
Yes.
And I was like,
I mean, look, I was watching at Christmas time. Tracy and I both were watching some of the old Christmas classics.
Yeah.
You know,
Die Hard,
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Way back Christmas classic.
Santa Claus is coming to town, the little stick figure stuff. But if I was listening to that, the Christian message was right there. They talk about Jesus and they talk about all these things. It's like they would never make that anymore. It's like a different world now than what it is.
Well, think about this. What was it? 2 years ago, they canceled Baby It's Cold Outside.
I remember
which is a classic movie because it was kind of rapey. The number one song at the time was Wet Ass Pussy.
I know. You're right. Yep.
Really? But we're going to cancel that song, and this is the number one song on the radio right now that you have to bleep out just to play it on the radio?
Yeah,
how does this make sense?
It doesn't.
It doesn't, and that's.
And if we need to bleep that, I understand. But you know, come on, people.
The reality is guys, it's plainly obvious now of what they're trying to do. And this, I'm telling you, what you're going to see going into 2026, I'm starting to see it politically now.
Yeah.
You're starting to see alliances between the LGBT community and Islam.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming.
Yep.
That's scary. You saw, I'm telling you, and by its heart, that is Islam.
They hate each other.
They hate, well, I don't know if the other side, I think they're clueless. They're clueless.
They are extremely clueless.
They're useful idiots, as I've heard some defectors from that Islamic type. They said we'll lie to them. We'll do whatever we have to do to get into power, and then after that, good luck.
Take it away.
Good luck.
Yep.
But
because those will be the first people killed.
100%.
It is, and I'm telling you, that's what I'm saying. These other countries are trying to warn us about. They've tried to warn Europe. You're letting these people come into your countries, and what did we see? We see Christmas celebrations being canceled. Christmas trees.
You saw
Christmas trees being defaced.
You see the governor of London having a physical reaction during like a Christmas carol about singing like
yes,
Christ our Savior is born. Him having like a fit, like him not being able to say it while he's like at the podium, like
that's what I'm
caroling
saying.
with stuff. And I was like,
the
governor of London.
This is what has happened because
he's a radical Muslim.
I know. But that's what I'm saying.
He's Islam.
What I'm saying is like London, like England, like what I feel like is considered to be one of the big Christian countries of the world. Not anymore.
The biggest threat. I'm telling you, the biggest threat is Islam right now, and it's not to offend. And you try to dance around these topics, but the reality is this is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just what it is. I mean, you're seeing what's going on in Nigeria. We had an episode on Nigeria.
Right.
Guess what? Trump is bombed a few of these strategic areas, trying to stop these ISIS groups from just going into churches and butchering people because they're Christians.
Right.
I mean, it is a religion that unfortunately produces what it produces. They would look at it and go, they're just simply following the tenets of Islam. We say, we sit back and we talk about these things. Well, that's just a radicalized element. No, that's just actually people who take the religion seriously.
Yep.
I hate to say it. I mean, at least I give them credit for actually practicing what they believe.
They have two types of soldiers. They have the radical Muslims that will go bomb, kill, behead, and everything else. But then you have the quiet soldier that goes into an area, takes over, and does it quietly. Does it in politics. Does it in stealing $9 billion from a state and bankrupts the state. And then all of a sudden, it's too late to turn around.
Mm-hmm.
And America is at that cusp because we're full of both types of their warriors, because they basically say, you are either going to convert to Islam or we're going to kill you, or you can pay the tax.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or you're going to die.
Yeah.
And the die part comes in twice.
Yeah.
And most people don't realize that. And if you're a woman or gay, lesbian, you need to be so far away from the Muslim community.
Yep.
And you better hope and pray that there's a strong Christian man standing next to you.
That's right.
A real masculine man when the shit hits the fan.
Muscular Christianity. It's got to be brought back. We have become too weak.
We've been dancing with the devil too long.
We've like I said, we've become too over feminized.
That's it. I'm starting a crusade. Let's go.
I've had a saying for years and years, and I'm going to say it here. And I don't remember who I heard it from, but I love this saying. If you are not face to face with the devil, meaning he's in your face causing you some shit, it's because you're walking with him.
Yep.
And we've been dancing with him too long in this country.
Oh, yeah.
Because we've gotten soft, because we've gotten complacent. We don't pray. We don't read the Bible. And look, I'm not going to say go to church, because I don't believe in these mega churches. I don't believe in what these churches represent today. This is so far away from the Bible, it's ridiculous. Because tithing's not about making a glass house. Tithing was what you had. If you were a farmer, you gave the best wheat. If you raised goats, you gave your best goats. And you did that for the famine that was coming to take care of the poor people and everybody that needed help. Because if you need help today and you go to the church, what they going to tell you? Oh, we'll pray for you.
Well, not every church.
We'll pray for you.
Some of them,
well, let's say 99.99% of them. Or the pastor has a $45 million jet, and a $15 million home. That's not what tithing is for.
Right.
It never has been that.
And if you see that in a church, probably need to stay clear of that. But there are some great churches that have wonderful community of people that are transparent with their money, and I think are great at
and I hope
having
that grows
programs
more.
that have that are. I attend a church that has some pretty great programs that can help people like that are less fortunate. That I can give of my money into a certain fund that can go to help those kind of people. So I guess those kind of things were like, just be wise, Like,
I mean, as a Christian community, we're supposed to be helping people. That's the nature of what it means to be a Christian. I tell people all the time, I mean, what is it to be a Christian? I said, well, just read the Beatitudes. I mean, that's really what it is. And it doesn't mean you let people, people get, you don't mean you get walked all over. That's not what that means, but read the Beatitudes. If you really want to know what Christianity is and what it was, read that. That is what it's all about. It really is. Right. And people with, $45 million jets, and I think that's a small percentage. The vast majority of churches in the United States are small and,
probably mean well.
That's not as few as you think it is.
Well, I'm not saying it's not.
We've got 5 of them here in South Louisiana. And I'm talking just across I-10.
Right.
Oh, okay. And you got how many, it's not as few as you think it is.
I think those places, appeal to a population that has become very disillusioned. And I think they offer an entertainment factor, which kind of goes into where we're at as a culture right now.
Yeah.
Look, it's just what it is right now. If really
they become motivational speakers, is more what they are.
Yeah, exactly. I usually kind of equate them to. I remember many years ago I went to a couple of Zig Ziglar speeches. I kind of liken them to that. Right. They just simply add Bible verses,
of course,
to it.
Well, even the Catholic Church came. I forgot what bishop it was. Came out and said when they're training new priests, you know what one of their weekly lessons is? Jimmy Swaggart.
Oh gosh,
they will watch Jimmy Swaggart. This is coming from the Catholic Church.
Well, what they do is there are a lot of in seminaries.
Sure,
they employ a lot of times non-Catholics come in to teach you how to preach.
Right.
I mean, there is a skill at that.
Of course,
and some people are better at it than others. Right. The more charismatic you are, those are the ones that get the big followings.
Speaking of,
they get the big checks.
Well, I mean, they get those checks because they get people.
We can tell that Stoney has had some feelings and had some experiences that happened to him. Because and that's okay. Not to say that's not justified, but he has had his hurt. And I think that is justified.
It's not a hurt. It is a thing that I have seen.
I know.
Being in an organization that I've been in since 1981, watching, learning, being part of one of these big churches and knowing things that most people don't know. And I would like to wise people up to it.
100%. But also know that some of those big churches I've also worked for as well, and I've gotten cut a really big check for doing my work there. So yes, there's a lot of money involved in places like that, but a lot of times that money also goes to artists and people that are hardworking that mean well.
Oh yeah,
I mean, people play music,
or whatever the case may be.
But if that's your tithe, then you should be playing that music as part of your tithe, not getting paid for it. If you're led to do that,
you're right.
But
again, for me, I was not part of that congregation, and I was hired out as a specialized musician for that thing. So it was there was a contract that went on.
I understand,
and I requested the money. So that's a. But anyway, so that's. And there's also I think the same thing like you just said with there are more big mega churches than you imagine around here. I think there's also a lot more smaller churches that I think have good meaning people.
I hope so.
I think the age of the mega church is actually going to be.
It's all perceptions. What you see.
I think it's coming to an end. I really do. I think you're going to start to see. I think what you're seeing is a lot of young people are wanting to go back to a more conservative view of what religion used to
Right.
be.
Well, home groups are making a huge comeback.
I think,
and I think the big churches, even experimented with, what were they called? Cell groups or something.
Yeah.
They experimented with that,
Yeah.
trying to get that niche back into the church. But it all still came back down to the big church. But I think the home groups alone are making.
I think a lot of those churches don't really emphasize dogma a lot.
Well, they don't preach the cross anymore.
Well, they don't. It's more of a prosperity. It's more about your feelings, and I get all that because no one wants to be told they're doing something wrong.
All right.
But as
Then
I
you're
said,
not helping them.
Exactly. Well, I would agree with that. That
Yeah.
if you're not telling people what they need to hear, then
The hard
what,
stuff,
what
yeah.
do you? Then what
We
are you
need
here
the old
for?
1700s Bible thumping, preachers that used to do the little circuit coming
well,
around.
I mean, you had, I think, you had the wave of Puritanism that came over to the United States.
Yep.
You had the rise of what I call that kind of puritanical type religion. I think, that kind of dominated for a while. And then eventually people rebelled against it because it was basically, I can do no good, which that's where I think sometimes the danger in that is there's got to be a balance. There
doesn't have to be a balance. We can't do anything. You have to believe in Jesus and turn your life over to him and go to heaven. There's absolutely no balance. We can't do it. We need his help.
Right.
And
But
that's
he's
what needs to be preached now.
You're right. But I hear what you're saying though. There's
you
what
can't
means by balance
you can't
is like
scare people into
doom and gloom is
That's
never
the
going to
problem. People aren't scared anymore.
Well,
no.
Okay,
right.
we
but
need
that's what
God-fearing, masculine men
right.
back in
But
leadership
this is what
roles.
he's saying. What he's saying is like obviously if you just preach that like hellfire and brimstone all the
Right.
time and no joy
There's
and
no
love
love
of
or-
Jesus,
But
there's
wait,
no nothing.
you were talking about going back to something that worked. That worked for
that's-
decades and
and that's-
centuries of fire and brimstone. And then we
Not-
got
well,
away from that, and
wasn't
guess
always,
where we are now?
It wasn't always fire and brimstone back then.
No,
there was a joy and love and peace of Christ that I think it was preached back
Right,
then as well.
Until the church got involved.
Well, maybe.
you
but-
got. If you want to go back far enough, I mean, look, back in early Christianity, where you see the beginnings of what they call the monastic movement, where people left the cities, they went off into the wilderness to get away from the world.
Right.
That's kind of where this idea of asceticism and it's
Yeah.
kind of getting away from that. So the idea of kind of leaving the mess behind and kind of going off where I can be at peace. There's and I think that's what I'm starting to kind of pick up a little bit with some of these younger people.
Yeah.
I want to return. I want to cut all the noise out. I want to get back to a more time where it was just a different. There was more a little bit more structure to it.
Right. Of course.
I can this is right. This is wrong.
I think the balance is like you are not worthy. Hell is eternal and is eternal separation from God, and yet Jesus still came and died for you anyways and
That's
loved
right.
you even regardless of all that.
But
That's
think,
right.
think about
Exactly.
this. We keep talking about balance. Okay. The early churches met in hiding because they were persecuted. And they met in people's homes in hiding. They met in small groups because they were being persecuted. And now what's happening? They're being killed in countries. They're being killed in the streets of America. And what's coming back? Meeting and hiding, meeting in small groups. There's your balance. We're going back to the beginning.
Well, we're going to have to because I'm telling you, there has to be the only thing that is going to bring our culture out of the mess that it's in right now. There's got to be a return to the Christian roots of what this country was founded upon. And I got in this conversation with someone online regarding, separation of church and state, and you can't, the whole posting of the 10 Commandments, and it just amazes the amount of Christian people that, well, I don't want that on there. And I'm like, why don't you? The 10 Commandments are one of the most foundational documents that literally gave rise to the things we call, the Magna Carta, the Constitution of the United. These were revolutionary documents.
Yeah.
That is what formed the society, eventually what became Europe, and then eventually what became America. And to sit there and say, well, because if we allow that, we got to allow this. No, you don't.
That's not true. See, because the separation of church and state came about in a very simple way, that the king cannot tell you what religion you have to follow. That is the only thing that separation of church and state means. It doesn't mean you can't post the 10 Commandments. It means that the ruling party can't force you to be Catholic, can't force you to be Protestant, can't force you to be whatever they want to make you do. That is the separation of church and state. Not that you can't do this, not that you can't do that. Not that if you do this, you have to allow the Satanists to have their little whatever thing going. That's not what it means. That's where the Supreme Court got it wrong.
Yeah, well, that's true. I've always said that it was the establishment of a national religion. But what a lot of people don't realize, that doesn't mean states couldn't do that. Because if you look at some of the early state constitutions, there was a belief in the Christian God. That was written into what the federal government was. You couldn't have a federal deal forcing everybody because the states were their own, in essence, they govern themselves. And if you want to have that, you have. I just still disagree with that. To me, the state should be able to do that.
That's what did they come out and they said they're going to post the 10 Commandments in Louisiana, and then all of a sudden the courts start coming in because somebody files a lawsuit against them. There was a law that said that they will be posted in the schools now. Because if just in any normal person, just follow the 10 Commandments. Doesn't matter what religion you are. That's just a good guideline to follow.
Oh, especially when 5 of them are towards other people. That's how you are supposed to treat other people.
This is the document that basically starts calling people's actions out.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't realize in ancient times the concept of human rights and the rights of individual, it didn't exist at that time in history.
And the greatest mind-boggling thing to me is that people don't realize the Constitution does not govern what the people do. The Constitution governs what the government can do.
That's right.
The government can't come in and tell you what religion you're going to be.
Right.
But as long as you don't go out and hurt people and hurt children and do this and do that, do what you want. You want to be a Satanist? Go be a Satanist. But don't force somebody else to do it.
Right.
Tell me, what do y'all think, guys? 2026.
I hope that.
What do you think is Tim? Give me. What do y'all think is going to be the big news story of 2020?
Oh my god,
2026.
Skynet.
So
AI is going to be Skynet.
I don't know what bubble's going to burst. First, whether it be AI, whether it be tech, whether it be political stuff. I just feel like we're at a point now where everything's inflating so much in a way, and I feel like something's gonna pop.
And see, it's fun. Can I throw? Right before I was thinking real estate
or real estate.
Is gonna pop. I agree with you.
Either that or the stock market because of New York or who knows, or I don't know what's gonna happen.
The stock market leaving New York?
Maybe.
I heard they were talking about leaving New York.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's so many things now that are I feel like we're at this
Austin, Texas.
Probably. We're at this precipice where I feel like I don't know what bubble's going to burst first, but I feel like something's going to pop and it's going to cause a economic shift.
As you say, I love that because I agree 100%. There's some bubble in 2026 that's going to pop. I thought it was going to be real estate.
That's another good one to add to the list of because you're right.
Wow. So you're saying you're one big news story. What do you think?
I think that some, like I said, whether it be AI having some sort of shift or collapse or some sort of tech having an issue, right? Because the cost of RAM right now is outrageous.
Yes.
So it's I'm saying there's all these things that I feel like are teetering on the edge, and I feel like the big news story of this coming year is one of those things is going to pop, is going to collapse, whether it be AI collapsing, whether it be real estate collapsing or stock market issues. Something's going to shift, and I think it's going to cause like an economic turn in some crazy way. We're going to be talking about it like, oh, here it went. And now we're going to be talking about it for the next few months. Maybe I could be wrong, but that's my suspicions. Because
what do you think?
I think the Islam issue is going to be the biggest issue in 2026. I have a feeling there's probably going to be some attack regarding this. I do not know what this fallout of this Minnesota stuff that will be interesting to watch as we move into 2026. Be very curious what Pam Bondi, what they do, what Kaush Patel they do with this stuff. That's going to tell me a lot.
Yeah.
If I don't see anything going on with that, something's up.
And I agree with you. I think it is going to be some type of an attack that comes in. But I think that's even going to change the immigration and
the fallout of that.
The fallout is going to be, we're just going to kick everybody out, and it's going to be hardcore, and it's going to be papers, and it's going to press our Constitution to get some of these people out, because now you're going to have to go, okay, I'm willing to give up some rights for the perception of safety to get these people out. And I think that's going to get pushed. Because this immigration thing is huge, and I agree with you on that. I think it's going to be some type of attack that's going to hurt and kill a lot of people, and then we're going to go, we must do something, because if New York can forget.
Anyway, and don't be surprised if they're looking at other cities.
Oh, they are.
Oh,
that
definitely.
This will happen. And
Houston has averted 2 or 3 things this year, because Houston is the next New York.
Yeah.
I just think right now, I mean, there's a huge, I'm just reading some article about this, places in Texas that these just huge numbers they're allowing in here. And it's like, when are you going to learn?
Yeah.
When are you going to learn that you can't work with these people? I mean,
they're not here to work with you.
They're not here. They're here to take over, and
they're here to secretly
destroy.
take over.
That's it. They don't want to work with you. They'll
So
work with you as long as you go along with them.
Yeah, just look at Europe.
That's huge. This immigration thing in Europe is huge, because England, France is being overrun.
Yep.
Countries like Poland, who don't allow anybody in, are the only ones succeeding at anything right now.
Right.
And we have some saying.
And I think the Russian-Ukraine war is going to is already at a dangerous point, but I think we're getting into even a more dangerous point now if it doesn't stop soon.
Yeah, well, I saw the Trump. I think they've offered them I saw a news alert pop on my phone today regarding, I think Trump has offered Zelensky a 15-year security protection deal to end this conflict, because I mean, at the end of the day, there is no end to this, and it's got to stop, because Russians are not going to stop.
No,
they're not.
And you see, that's kind of stupid, because the Russian president actually likes Donald Trump, and if he wanted to solidify his position and the next 8 years, work out a deal with Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Putin, just call Donald Trump up and say, hey, look, I'm going to get out. I'm going to save face.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm going to give you credit for it, because what happened with the hostages, even though all the libtards were saying, free the Israeli hostages, he got those hostages out, and all they did was, But if Putin were to help him and just say, hey, look, I'm going to give you the credit. I'm going to save face and get out.
Yeah.
That would set the next 12 years. Well, 1 year, 11 years.
Right.
Basically. And if he was smart. And Putin, if you're listening, give me a call. I'll help you out.
To me, I think the United States missed a great opportunity at the end when the Berlin Wall fell, and the Soviet Union was in complete disarray, if at that time we could have brought Russia into the fold.
Yeah.
Help them, show them that we're not your enemy, then we would have a valuable ally to counterbalance the Chinese threat. And that's my number 2.
You think China's going to do
I
something?
think China is going to be increasingly more of a problem. And I've always said eventually we're going to end up in a war with China. I just my feeling, it's kind of in my bones.
I think it's going to be
inevitable.
I agree to a certain extent, but I think it'll be a last-ditch effort for China because their population is decreasing so much.
Yeah.
The young people that could actually fight have decreased so much.
Yeah.
I think it'll be like a last-ditch effort to gain something like Taiwan or one last thing to control.
Well, my question is if they do try to attack Taiwan, I mean, what we're going to do, that to me, it's they want Taiwan. But I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, there's a few hot spots. I mean, I think that's an area of concern. I don't think in 2026, I look at that issue as a little bit more of a long term. Right now, you have some hot spots in Venezuela. Right. It's kind of a little nuts down there right now, but it would be very interesting to see how that. I think that will probably get resolved this coming year.
Well, I think the people of Venezuela are going to resolve that
whether
one.
Maduro stays or something happens, but I think definitely something's going to be, something will be concluded in 2026 with that. Those are kind of some of the big things. I see what happened, but nothing is a more bigger problem right now than Islamification.
I agree. Well, if you all at home want to let us know what you think your predictions for next year is, or let us know how your year has been so far, we would be more than willing to read your responses. We have an email address, getoffendedtogether@gmail.com, which we have probably offended somebody today. Each one
I'm
of us,
sure I offended at least 2 people.
But that's okay. And we also have comment sections on Spotify and on YouTube where you can leave some more short form responses if you feel like doing that as well. Be sure to like and subscribe whatever platform that you'd like to listen to us on, because I know we're on almost all of them, I think. And until next week, thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone. God bless, and Happy New Year.
This year didn't invent the chaos. It just pulled the curtains back. We finally saw who's in charge, which systems are out of gas, and where people run when the world stops making sense. And you know what? The reveal is a gift, because once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. Clarity is the first step to courage. So let's take that into the new year. Clear eyes, full hearts, and a grip on what really matters. Faith, family, community, and the future worth rebuilding. Happy New Year. And thanks for joining us today. You're the best. Peace.